Hello, welcome. Hi, this is Joyce with Just Beat It. Joyce Trowbridge with Just Beat It, and we're ready to get some dangly fringe earrings on, I think. I am excited. Are you excited? I am wearing one pair right now. I'm really enjoying this pair. Oh, did I? Hello, hello, welcome. Hello, Diane. Hi, Angie. Hi. Welcome. Who is ready to make some fringe earrings today? I think it'd be a lot of fun. I like these earrings a lot. I'm going to try to get this phone in the mount because apparently I forgot to do that. Hey, April. Welcome. Ooh. Ooh. I think today is my day of technical difficulties. Well, when is it not for me, right? Because I bead. I don't do this often. Let's see. How are we today on this Saturday? It got really hot again in my area. I really want fall weather. I could use some fall weather for sure. Need to cool down. It's like in the 90s again. Isn't it fun, Angie? I know what you mean. The fringe, they're so fun to make. And so we're going to today. Hi, Wendy. Welcome. We are going to do these wonderful, we're going to use these little stitch around hoops that from Tierracast. I'm going to show it better on the other side of this camera in a moment. No worries, Lori. It happens. So we're going to make these beautiful fringe earrings that I'm wearing today. I got my skulls from earlier this month on still because I love it. And we did this awesome pendant with the same idea of the earrings. So those are great. That looks like I am not going to be able to use my tablet like I usually do. Okay, so today we are going to, as far as tools, you're going to need a pair of Chainnose Pliers to do your ear hook, a pair of scissors or Xeron cutters, either one, to cut your thread. If you have a beading thread conditioner, that will be helpful. It is, Angie, it is a larger, and I'm going to go over that in just a second. Hello, Wendy from Ontario, and I just realized I don't have a needle. I cannot string this if I don't have a needle, so I'm going to go grab a needle, and I'll be right back. Good thing I know where they are, right? So I'm doing Halloween themed today with awesome, fun Halloween colors. I'm gonna flip this camera around though. Thank you, Evelyn. It is good that you're joining. Thank you. Look at. Hello, Julie. Let me know where you're from because this is great. I see that we have someone from Ontario, Canada, and I know I have some people from my San Francisco Bay Area on. Where else are you from? This is so wonderful. One of my favorite things that was me. I hit the button by accident, so sorry. That was really, so it wasn't you, that was me, that little pause there. Tennessee, thank you. Oh, Arizona, awesome. So I'm going to flip this around. Edmonton, oh, wow, just so neat. All the different places that everyone's from. So these are my colors that I'm going to use today, I'm going to go... Is there a reason it's not focusing? There we go. Now we got to focus. I am using 4mm in black. I got a neon orange to kind of give you that Halloween feel. And 2 other oranges. I have this great peridot kind of Halloween green that is going to be my 2. It's a little different than what I used in the earrings. I got the original pattern, but I'm going to show the difference in a moment. This is a size 8 seed bead and a size 11 seed bead, and then the stitch around hoops, and then 2 ear hooks, and let's scoot this over. We have 1G thread today. No, not 1G. I'm using KO today. A lot of times I do use 1G because I have a lot of 1G. KO is very similar and I like it just as well. So we are using that today. I'm going to pop this in the mount and hopefully don't lose you this time. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see all these wonderful people on. So those are my materials that I'm using today. And I'm using a size 10 needle. I really wish that worked. Let's get this a little bit closer so that I can see. Okay, so the couple things before I get started. I got those. We have our written instructions available on the event page, and we have it on our Just Bead It Facebook page and our Just Bead It Happy Beaders group. This is the lovely earring that we're gonna do today. These are the stitch around hoops that are the 15mm stitch around hoops from Tierracast that we're using to make these wonderful earrings. The necklace that I have on, well, I don't have it on now. This necklace is done with the 18mm, so you can see it's a little bit larger in circle. This can also be done for an earring too, for those that like to have a slightly larger earring. They are perfect. I actually kind of want to make a pair like this as a pair of earrings too, but it's a nice little set. And we do have on our Etsy page at Just Bead It Conquered Etsy page the stitch around hoops now, and we have both the 15 and the 18mm will be up or are up. Also on our Etsy are more kits that are available in here. We're going to kit this up also for each of the colorways that we have. We're going to kit up the pendant part, and those will be available. Oop. I need to be further away for this one. Just before we get started, I'm just letting people kind of jump on. And I know some are still probably getting their materials together, but let's go a little bit further up here for a second. My nephew made this fun little flyer for us. We are putting on instead of just Bead It, it is Just Bead It Conquered on our Etsy, and we're putting all our Halloween merchandise is 25% off now to November 1st. And so you can get some Halloween inspired stuff. We also have our beaded bliss kits are getting restocked and put up on our Etsy, and our dangly earrings with the new addition of the dangly pendant will be there. I'm going to go over that again at the end. So we're gonna get our little space set up. Hopefully you found the written instructions either on our event page or on our Facebook page. It is also in the Just Bead It Happy Beaders group and our website, which is justbeaditconcord.com. So who's all ready? What are you watching? Just watching today, and then you're gonna go look and see what you have, or get a kit, or are you beading along with me today? I like both. It really is nice when I have both. You know, I don't mind if you're not doing this project. You just want to know how it's done, so maybe you will do it in the future. I think it's great. Or if you have, sorry, I just like looked at something, or if you're beading along with me, because I love that too. So one thing I wanted to point out, so if you got the kit, we use 2mm True Cut fire polish, which are these little tiny guys here and at the bottom. So both there and at the bottom. I did not find a color I wanted to use in the True Cuts. Most of them are True Cuts or metallic, and I wanted to pull this green in. So I'm using a 2mm. It's still 2mm. It's just not a True Cut facet, so it does make them a little bit bigger. The round is a little bigger than the faceted version. So any 2mm will fit there, though. You know, still look nice. It just gives it a little different look. I'm going to actually probably leave that there for a second. So we have our size 8 seed bead. Woo! I missed a whole bunch of comments. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Let me see if I could catch up here. Oh, I understand, Angie. Sometimes you just have to kind of watch and then come back and do it after. That's the great thing about these Facebook Lives. We do get to rewatch over and over until whenever we can bead. Yes, Wendy. Thanks for watching with me. Thank you. Hopefully beading along, Lois. I like that. I hope you... Awesome. Thanks for joining me. And I think I missed something about... Yeah, I'm using the 10. The needles are the same as seed beads, where if the number is larger, then it is either smaller or thinner. So I'm using a 10. If you did get a kit from us, we had a 10 and a 12 in there. So the 10 is the thicker one, the 12 is the thinner one. Sometimes going back up through to add when we were adding the fringe, it gets a little tight, and so a 12 is nice to have. But a 10 should work pretty well. I'll move this back out. So I got my size 8s. I'm going to cut open my strands here, and I'm going to get, let's see, we need the 8s, we need my 11s. So the black is the 11s, the 8s are the orange. So as you could see, these guys, the 11s are smaller than the 8s. And then when you get into fire polish, it goes back into numerical order because it's measuring the millimeters. So my 2 millimeters for this project is these awesome green. And then you're going to have 3, for our little mix, we're using 3 millimeters. So these are this one, oh, it's not Focus, focus. It likes the stuff below, not above. There we go. So this bead here, these 3 beads are all 3 millimeters, and we're using 3 different colors, and I have my 3 different oranges that I'm going to use. So let's get those. And I'm going to just cut that open, get a few out, move these off to the side. I don't need the, woo, they got a little messy. Fun, 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 fun. Do you have really neat rows, or are you a messy beater? I'm like, I've seen messier, but I am kind of, if the beads go haywire, they go haywire, right? I just let it go. I'm gonna get, and then the last bead we need is a 4 millimeter fire polish. So the fire polish are the faceted ones. Again, today we are doing 2 millimeters that are just rounds, so that I can have a pretty color in there. Get it all ready for Halloween. Yes, Angie, I understand. Sometimes I'm like sitting there, like that's why I have a handy triangle, because sometimes it does bother me. So I'm like, okay, let's move these out of the way, you know, get my little piles back. Especially when that cut, like these 2 oranges are kind of the same color. Yeah, so I'm using 2 different oranges. These both a lighter orange and a darker orange, and both of them have an AB finish, that Aurora Borealis finish. So it gets you, well, this one might be the Vitral, but they give you a little bit of a variety with the multicolors on it. So it looks like it's 2 different oranges, or looks like it's a mixture, because the 2 colors are very similar. So those are going to be, these are my pretty colors that we're going to be using today. And and then I'm using KO thread today in black to go. I like to have a little bit of whatever color, like in my, I had a like a goldy color for the gold and red, and then I have in this one I did the black also, just because of the neutral colors. But in our like silver raspberry one, we have blue raspberry, that one has a blue. In our pink one, we have a pink. So it's fun to kind of match your thread. It's gonna a little bit of the thread is gonna show on this stitch around hoop. I love these stitch around hoops that are made by Tierracast. They have such a nice quality finish on it, and the weight of it is nice. It's not too heavy, but it's like sturdy. I just love their stuff. And in our kits, we also use the niobium metalled ear hooks, and they are also from Tierracast. So I'm going to cut myself a yard. I just do my nose to the end of my, and that's about 3 feet or a meter for those that are metric, around there. You could do a little less. It really doesn't need to be that long. I just find that it makes tying off later easier if you have a little bit more thread. Yes, this is, thank you. I see that we've got a little bit of a thing. I think my sister's probably trying to rectify that because that is a little annoying. I understand. Yes, this is what was in the kit. It's the KO. We did KO this time. Very similar product to 1G. So if you have 1G, you can use that. Any kind of soft thread. If you're old school and you have silicone or Nemo, you could do that. Nemo thread, either way you say it. Those will work also, but I find KO and 1G threads are really nice for laying fringe. Okay, so we're going to start out with our stitch a hoop, and I'm going to move this across there so this can so that the camera will focus on just what we're trying to do today. And we're going to get 5 of our size 8 seed beads out because we're going to build up the 5 seed beads first. And we'll start with adding one. Thank you very much. We're gonna get one. I'm gonna move the other 4 out of the way. I have one going. I am slightly going blind right now, so I'm hoping, please let me know if I get out of focus or out of the line of the camera. Yes, that was annoying for me too. I was trying, that's why I'm kind of like pausing. I'm like, but it looks like it. Thanks for grabbing and getting that taken care of. So I kept my 8 on my needle for this step because I find it's easier. I can hold on to, like, with my finger, I can keep it from sliding off, and it's easier for me to guide it. You can bring it down if you want, but this is just easier for my hands to hold. I'm going to go and take this needle up from behind the stitch hoop, and I'm coming through the stitch hoop, and then I'm going to, if you notice, I switched hands as holding the seed beads so that when I pull the thread through, and I'm going to pull the thread through for quite some, I'm going to leave about 4 to 6 inches. And then I'm going to place this down so that you can see it a little bit easier out of my hands. I do like to do this in my hands, but I know sometimes when you're learning, it's easier to do it on the mat. And then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go back down through the size 8, and I'm going to just put my get a little caught there. We're going to just keep my finger right there so that the 8 doesn't slip through. I'm going to pull it. My finger is on top of the tail and the working thread, but letting it pull. And we got our first bead on, and it's going to be kind of loosey-goosey. If you need to, you could start with a stop bead or use like the mini bead stoppers are great too. You can put one on, to hold its place. I'm just holding it with my hand because when I go to the next step, it's going to kind of keep it in place. So that's that first one. And then we're going to add a second size 8 seed bead. And we're going to go and take the needle and come behind the hoop. Pull the thread. Now what this part that we're doing right now is called brick stitch. It's a modified brick stitch because we're not doing this, we're doing it around the hoop, and this is done so many different ways. We did, by the way, we chose to do the beads that we did today to make it a quicker project. Most of the time these are done with size 11 seed beads or even the 11 delicas and 15s and really tiny beautiful things that you can fringe with, and really make it nice and long and fringy. That's what a lot of them are made, but we wanted to kind of simplify it with some beads so that it makes it easier to learn. So I got these two. Now we could continue and just add the 4 just like this, and if with the smaller beads like the 11s or the Delica 11s, you can just continue adding the beads like this, in this manner. But what I found with these larger, particularly with these larger 8s, because of the size holes, that I kind of needed to make a loop around them to secure them together. So what I do to do that is I'm going to go back up through the one on the left, the first one that I put on, up through the hoop. Oh no, in front, sorry, it's not through the hoop, sorry, wrong step. We're going to go through it, but it's going to be above the hoop. So if you see that, my needle is coming in front of the hoop because we're just looping these 2 seed beads together to kind of bind them. Now we don't want to pull too hard, too tight, or they're not going to lay nicely around the hoop because the hoop does curve. You can make these too straight and then it doesn't lay as nice. So we're just kind of still securing them, but not super tight. And then I'm going to go back down the second bead that I added, the one on the right, and that way, now see how they lined up a little bit nicer now? They were kind of crooked and now they're lined up. And we need to do this 3 more times. We want to make a set of 5. So I'm going to go through this. I have my new, and again, I like to leave it on my needle for this step because it's easier for me. It feels more comfortable for me, but if you need to, you could pull this all the way down. I have my size 8. I'm going to go from underneath the hoop through the hoop and pull. Whoops. This is why you want to make sure that that size 8 stays on the outside of the hoop. So I'm going to put my finger over it. So sorry you can't see that part, but my size 8 right there is on the outside of the hoop. I'm going to put my finger on that size 8 so it doesn't flip through my hoop. Pull it, and now it's next to my other 2. I'm going to go back down through the new bead, that third one, and I'm going to pull it. And again, I want to secure these 2 together so that they will stay. And if you notice, my stitch hoop is kind of moving around, and that's okay. The weight of the beads will keep it centered once we're done. Right now we're just going to let this kind of move around if it has to. And we're going to go back up through the one on the left from the one that we're coming out. So in this case, it's the second one we put on. It's the one in the middle. And if you look at it, I'm in the front of the hoop. And I'm going to pull that. And then I'm going to go back down the newest one, and that got them lined up nicely. See how, and I'm letting it, I'm not pulling it too tight that they're so straight across that they're still curving with this stitch around hoop. Got 2 more beads to do like this, so I'm going to get my 4th size 8 seed bead, take my needle, and go under the hoop and pull, making sure that my size 8 seed bead is on the outside, and then I'm going to go back through the 8 that I just put on so that they're next to each other. Ooh, we're a little wobbly today. Sorry. I don't mean to hit the table like that. Oh, move it this way. Yeah. And then I'm gonna, because I went down through, I'm gonna go up the 3rd bead, the one to the left of the new one I did, and back down the 4th, and that's gonna loop them together and make them line up nice. And every time I'm kind of pulling on this, I'm also this time pulling on my tail, just to make sure that I'm not loosening it up too much on that side. And we have 1 more to go. We got our size 8, and on my needle I'm going to go from underneath, from the back of the stitch hoop, and I'm going to hold on to that bead, pull until it's through up there, and then we're going to go back down that new bead. Voila, we got 5 in a row. But we need to secure these 2 next to each other. I always forget this stage. I want to like get right into the fringe. But we need to buckle these 2 together. So we're going to loop them, go up the 1, the 4th, and back down the 5th one. So now we got, whoops, and they flip, don't they? But that's okay. Since I know that I started with the tail on the left, I know that if I flip it, all I have to do is make sure the tail side's on the left and the working's on the right. Let's see. It's pretty stable, Andy. I don't really need to. It's just like a habit. Now that, I have to like really pull on it to get that. And if you leave 6 inches or so, it won't just slip out. All right. So now that we got 5 in a row, who has 5 in a row already? Let's see if I can turn this off. It's making lots of noise. All right. For those that are beading with me, you got your 5 on? How you doing? So now I'm gonna start grabbing, while you're getting that last 5, I'm gonna start grabbing the beads that we need for our fringe. Our fringe, the first fringe is, let's move this like that. The first fringe is 3 of the size 11s. Not yet, that's okay. You get those on. Did you need me to show? Uh-oh, your thread keeps getting in the way. The tail, you mean? It does that. Tails are kind of like that. I try to, when I'm holding it, when I try to hold it in my hand, I try to kind of get it behind and have it in, like, tucked into my left hand when I'm holding it. That way it doesn't get caught on things. So it's sitting there, but I squeeze it like that and then it doesn't get caught. But then this thread likes to get caught on everything. 5 on Carolyn, awesome. So just make sure that you are sewing them together. So I got 3 of the size 11. I'm just prepping for my first fringe. I'm going to be putting the fringe on the left one just to keep this in the same orientation. If you need to hold it in your hand like this, you could do it from the right side. It's okay. It doesn't matter which side, however it's easier for you to do. So it depends on if you're familiar with bead weaving and you like to hold things in your hand, you might want to flip it. But in this case, because I want to keep it in the same orientation as the instructions so that you can follow along if you need to, I'm going to do it that way. So I have 3 of the 11s. Then the next thing is your 2mm. So in this case, I'm using this little green. And then another size 8 seed bead. And then we're going to do color A, B, and C in our 3mm beads. And then we have a 4mm bead, which in my case is this black one. Let's see, I'm going to go back out just so you can, it stays in frame. Hopefully, let's focus that again. Oh, good, it's focused. And then a size 2 at the bottom millimeter and a size 11 seed bead at the very end. And it's okay if you are not quite ready. We are going to be making lots of fringe. The difference is just going to be how many size 11s that are right here. So you can kind of see how it's going. And we also will have this video available to rewatch all the time. I'm going to make a second one too. So it'll be great. So we got 3 11s, a size 2mm. A size 8 seed bead, 1, 2, 3 3mm in different colors, so my A, B, and C. And then I have my size 4mm, another size 2, and a 1. And once I have them lined up, which is a really good idea because I can't tell you how many times I either forgot the 8 or I forgot the 2. It's really silly. I forgot one of the 3mm one time and I had to take it out. So it's nice to lay them out. Hi Terry, welcome. It's never too late to join. I mean, you'll be a little different spot, but it's okay because we can bead this together. Anyway, it's always fun to join in. If you by the way, I forgot to condition my thread. So Thread Magic or beeswax is a great. This just kind of goes into, and I clip that on, and then you just run it through. And usually you just keep running it through, and then it goes right on out. But because I already beaded, I shouldn't have put the cap on. I need to pull this out. There we go. But that, if you find that your thread's getting a little restless and all over the place, you may want to run it through. And if you don't have, if you've never had a need for this yet, a beeswax or Thread Magic, you can also at home, if you don't want to wait to do your project, you can go find a candle and run it through the candle. That's another little trick. Okay, so now that we got those, I'm gonna string these on. So I'm gonna start out with my 3 11s, my 2mm, my size 8 seed bead. I'm gonna go a little closer now. We're going to do our A, B, and C of our 3mm, our 4mm, another 2mm. Where are you two? I'm going to find the hole. Okay, I'm afraid I'm going to lose those, so I'm going to pop those off of my needle while I try to get this one that does not want to go on. There we go, and a size 11 at the bottom. And we're gonna go bring these down up to the stitch hoop, up to the brick stitched 8s that are up there. So I got my 3 of the 11s, my double checking here, 2mm, my 8, and then in my 3mm I have A, B, and C. And then I have my 4mm and my second 2mm and a size 11. So in this fringe, we are going to make the fringe happy, we're going to skip that last 11 that we put on. And we're going to just take our needle through the rest of the beads. We're going to go up the 2, the 4, the 3 3s, the 2mm, and the 3 11s, and the 8, and I'm going behind. So I want you to see I am coming out of the 8 and I'm going to be behind the hoop. And don't worry, see how my hoop is moving? It's okay. Once we get all the fringe, the weight of the beads are going to keep it centered. Right now, it's going to move around, and we will be okay. We're going to go up through that hoop that way and pull. Now, this sometimes when you go to do it, I was lucky I got my needle through, and you might have to go a few beads at a time. Sometimes you could get the needle through all the way. What you want to do to pull your thread nice and even is to hold on to this 11 here at the bottom and pull, and see how it just shoosh it around. Now you want to get this nice and snug, but not so snug that it's tight that it's going to make your fringe freak out, because the fringe will get all wonky if you pull too tight. Now I'm going to go back down through the size 8, just like that. And there's our first fringe. Do we got our first fringe? Do we need to wait a second? My mat's just moving, so I'm going to try to... It seems like the lighting is changed here, so I'm going to try to scoot this around in a different manner to see if the lighting is a little bit better. Like that. Seems like it's a little bit better. Now what we want to do is get over to get in place for our second fringe. And this is going to do two things. It's going to firm up things. It's going to basically lock this fringe. So make sure that this isn't, if you don't catch this, if it's loose and there's like this whole bunch of, I'm trying to pull it to show, but I don't know, like if it has a whole bunch of thread showing, you want to, before you do any further, you want to kind of tug that and make sure it's nice and snug still, because when we go to do this next step, you are going to find that you'll never be able to get the slack out. So check and make sure the slack is taken out of that one. And we're going to go up through the 8, go behind the hoop and through the hoop. Do you see that? Hoping you can see that okay. Yeah, that looks good. And then we're going to pull that. And then we're going to go back down that new, where we're going to add the new fringe, the next one over. So we're just traveling over to the beads. But by wrapping it around the hoop one more time, I mean, we could have jumped from this bead and go straight to this bead. But by going up and around the hoop again, you get a little bit more thread around. You can see it on these two on the end, that the thread is just a little thicker, which gives it a nice decorative look to it. It also makes it a little firmer and sturdy and more secure, so you don't have to worry about things like loosening up as much. All right. And now we're going to I'm going to hold it in my hand, because then I can bring it up a little closer when I need to, and I can show it to you closer, because I bet you that looks a little bit nice, a little nicer there. Now I'm ready for my second, so that is, I'm going to line up my beads. There are 4 11s in this fringe. In this design, we are just adding one more. All the fringe are the same, except for in the seed beads, we're just adding one more seed bead to each until you get to the center one, and then we go back up and take one away. And that way we have a little bit of a gradation, a little bit of a length difference, which gives it a pretty look. So I have 4 this time instead of 3. And then we have our 2mm, our size 8, our A, B, C, our 4mm, our 2mm, and our size 11 seed bead. So those are all the beads that we're going to add on this next fringe. So that's 4 size 11s, 1 size 2mm, 1 size 8 seed bead, 3mm beads in A, B, and C, 4mm, a 2mm, and an 11. So we're gonna pop these on. Boom. And just string these little guys, make these pretties. I find if you're experimenting with colors, don't get hung up on the first 2 little fringe. Like, do what you think is going to look nice. And you may kind of like, I don't know about it, kind of, I'm fine. I'm liking mine. But if you weren't sure, the more fringe you add, the better it gets. I think that repetitiveness of it really helps make things pop. So I have my 4 11s, my 2mm, my size 8 C bead, 1 A, B, C of my 3mm fire polish, my 4mm fire polish, a 2mm, and a size 11. We're going to skip that size 11 at the bottom and go up through all these lovely beads And ooh, that was lucky. We're getting lucky today. I'm gonna pick it up so that I could, and we're gonna make sure that we go through. Look at that little guy wants to get in there. You see I'm coming out of the size 8 seed bead, and I'm coming from the back side of it. And then up through the hoop, and I'm going to pull. Again, my favorite way to get this to go even is to hold on to that little 11 that we skipped, and hold on to that and pull, and it just swooshes up. That's the Joyce technical bead term. Swoosh it up. We're going to go around and then go back through the same size 8 that we're coming out of, or original, that we build that up, right? And bam, we got 2 fringe. Woohoo! I'm excited. Who's excited? Look how pretty it is. These are so going to be awesome Halloween ones. I love it. Now we can't go do any more fringe in this spot. So we're going to go move over to the middle one, and we're going to go through the 8, go behind the hoop, up through the hoop, and pull, and then go back down the seed bead. Whoop. Got to make sure you go through the seed bead though. I just keep going. Oh, I'm in there. Okay. And pull. And now I'm ready for the middle one. Middle fringe. I know I'm a big fan of, you know, I like fun, funky holiday stuff, but I like subtle. This is what I call subtle holiday. You know, it's still Halloween, but I bet you I have something else that's not Halloween that I can wear this with, and I'll still be able to use it. And it's kind of like holiday, but you know, pretty too. You weren't sure about that, huh, April? April's my sister, for everybody that doesn't know us well enough yet. Just Beaded is a family business. It used to be Mom and Dad was helping, but mostly just me and my sister now. And we have a couple friends like Christine and that help us. And we also get our children involved. She has my nephew, the 10-and-a-half-year-old, is the one that did our sign. And then I have older boys, and they just help with, like, you know, other parts. Sometimes I have to get them for my technical difficulties. Like, what did I do? Okay. We are building this next fringe for the middle. And I really think once you add more to your fringe, it just makes everything, you know, more fringe. I said not more to your fringe, but once you add more fringe, it just gets better and better. This middle one has the most of the 11s in this whole thing, so it has 5 because we're adding one more. Then we have our 2mm, a size 8, our A, B, and C. Can't forget that guy. That was what really makes it pop. And then our 4mm, our size 2 again, and our size 11. So it's 5 11s to start with, our 2mm size 8 seed bead, our A, B, and C of our 3 millimeters, and then our 4 millimeter, our 2 millimeter, and one more 11 at the bottom. One of the reasons we chose that 2 millimeter, they're small, but they're, you know, they're smallest of the fire polish, but they give just a hint of color or a hint of sparkle depending on which one we use. And it's just such a nice little thing without adding, you know, it's a little bit bigger than the 11s, but not, you know, it doesn't take over. It's kind of nice. I like them a lot just for that little hint, little hint. In this case, it's a little bit more just because of the contrast of color, but I don't know. You know, when that's a leg, it could be leg, I guess. It's a fringe to me. It's a one fringe, but then I get it, but it does make it confusing when I'm talking, so I gotta find out what the one is. So I have all of them lined up, and I am going to, don't forget to skip that 11. If you forget to skip this 11, all your beads are going to just fall right off. This is the most important thing. That's why I don't, I make sure that I pull these up so that I can really make sure this one doesn't get skipped, or does get skipped, or no, yeah, does get skipped. And then I'm going to go through. When you are going through, one thing I didn't mention on the first ones is that you want to make sure you're going through, like, you got to watch how your needle is, because you can pierce through and catch the thread, and then it won't go up as easy. So when you're going through a bead, you got to think about the angle of your needle. So when I might start it this way, but then I try to lift the tip kind of upwards so that it's scraping through the, I'm going to see if I can show it up here closer. But see how you can get, your needle could either go downwards, and if it goes down and scrapes the floor of the hole of the bead, you can catch your thread. So if you go kind of upwards and let it kind of go across the roof of the seed of the bead, you're less likely to get it tangled around the thread. So one way that, you know, I've been doing it on the mat to show you, but another way is if you hold it, you can hold it and kind of let gravity help keep the thread down. Oh, absolutely, Nicole. No, I haven't. You can really do anything on here. I would still stick with like the seed beads for the around the here, the stitch around hoop, and then to help lengthen it. But you can, we just used the fire polish because it was handy, and they're, you know, great way to start. But bicones look amazing on them. Totally anything. You could even do little stone beads if somebody likes stones, you know, instead of the glass. It really does open up. Just add a little seed beads. So I'm skipping this one, and by holding it on my hand this way, I can run my needle kind of so that it's, I could feel that it's running the roof of the hole so that it will not pierce the thread that's already in there. And you want to make sure you go through your 8 and behind the hoop. Oh, you're welcome. Welcome. I try to catch, if I miss anybody's comments, please just, my sister is probably trying to monitor and make sure I don't miss your comments, but sometimes, you know, it's hard to see them while I'm doing it, so I will always try to answer whenever I can. And thank you. I think it's great when you ask questions, because I'm sure more people are asking about it in their heads and just haven't asked about it yet. I'm going to go back down through, because I went through the hoop, I'm going to go back down through that same 8. And that secures my fringe that I just made, my middle leg, I guess. So now I got 3. And then I got to move over, go into the next 8 over to the left, go behind the hoop, and pull, and then go back down that new 8. And we're ready for our 4th fringe. Now, since our 4th fringe is on the other side of the middle one that had the most, we're now going to decrease. We're going to mimic the second one, which is 4 size 11s. You know, I understand Halloween is not everyone's holiday. I am an October baby, so therefore Halloween, I thought Halloween was for me. Even though I wasn't actually on Halloween. And so I love it. But these are fun, aren't these? These are great color. Even if you weren't in Halloween, this can be... I actually think one of my mom's summer tops is like in this color. We're at family, so I'm thinking that might be kind of fun to wear. So I have 4 11s, 4 11s, 1 2mm, 1 size 8, and then our A, B, and C of our 3mm. A, all 3mm. I think the only thing that I would, if you did want to change out your beads for this, you're going to have to experiment and see how they fit next to each other. You might not want to go any more than 4mm, and you can even add more 4mm throughout it. This was just our way of getting this cool little look without breaking the bank yet, but we all have our stashes, right? Okay, so I have my 4mm after my A, B, and C, and then a 2mm. I'll try to get this in a spot that you can see, and then a size 11 C bead at the bottom. We'll move out a little bit, maybe that will help. So there's 4 size 11s, a 2mm, size 8, A, B, C in the 3mm, the 4mm, the 2mm, and a size 11 C bead. I'm going to go stack these up. Boom, boom, boom. Look at how fun these are turning out. I am so happy with these. I don't know if you're as happy as me. You're probably going, okay, whatever you like, Joyce. But I'm happy with these. You can use anything that you can find for this. We have these Tierracast ones because what's nice is this ring up here is attached, so it's easy to put an ear hook on it. They're just a really fabulous quality hammered ring. But you can find lots of different rings that you could do this in. This is a 15 millimeter hoop, so that might help you figure out if you're looking at what rings to get. Because everybody, no one has everything available, you know, and so sometimes you gotta look at whatever local place that you have to get something. So if you can just, you know, something in the 15 millimeter is a great size for this size earring. But you could go a little larger if you like larger earrings, or go a little smaller and do a little less. We do also have this in these available on our Etsy for anyone that is interested. It's on Etsy. Our shop is at Just Bead It Conquered, all one word. You're right, Angie. You don't want normal jump rings. You want rings that are solid, because the thread will, it can, as you could tell with this where it was like moving around a little bit, this thread is so thin, even if you think you have a regular jump ring as closed, it can sneak through the tightest jump rings. So get ones that are solid. Get a soldered close or solid ring. There's some triangles that we just got that we're hoping to do a kind of version of this on, and a teardrop shape. And this technique could be used on many different shapes. So I'm skipping this last seed bead, and I'm going up through all the beads, maybe. Sometimes you can't get all through one shebang, so I'm going to just pull this, and get through the rest of this here, and get it so that the thread, I'm going through, want to make sure you go through that 8 and you're coming behind the hoop. Yes, the quick links works great. Very. Yep. That's a fantastic product for this. There's so many fun things to do this kind of fringe on. I have this little charm that has a little open space at the bottom. I'm hoping to do one on. And then I'm going to go back down through the same size 8. And if you wanted to, you don't need to use the 8s around for the brick stitch up here. I chose this because it makes it, the holes are so much bigger than on an 11, so it makes it easy to learn on. I also kind of, I think it's a fun look too. Yes, there's our link for Etsy about where you can get these. These are 15 millimeters, and we do carry them by the piece. So if you're making a pair of earrings, you need to make sure you click on 2. And then I'm going to go up through the last C bead because I got to move over. And then back down. And I went from behind up through the hoop like I've been doing, and back down. And we're on our last fringe for this earring. And we're ready. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Because we are going shorter again, we're gonna mimic the one on the outside. So it's 1, 2, 3 of the 11s. A size, oops. 2 millimeter. our size 8, and then A, B, and C in our 3mm, our 4mm, our 2mm, and our size 11 at the bottom. Yeah, that's the fun part. That's kind of why I did it. It's just that adding the 8 in at the top, adding the different, you know, color in the same family, but the variance in it in the middle, and then having a larger bead at the bottom and little peak of little bits at the bottom just adds to the texture, adds to the sway of the beads. It's fun. It just goes to show there's like endless possibilities, right? I mean, I love those seed bead, only seed bead ones. I think they are fantastic, or they're seed beads except for the last bead, or I think they're beautiful. And I love those too. So I have my last one. This last one, I'm going to go only through the beads of the fringe. I'm not going to go through this size 8 seed bead. I'm just going to meet it, skip that 11, go through the fringe beads, come out of the last of the seed beads here so that I'm coming out where my tail is. I know, it's so true, Nicole. It's like once you start making things, like I had to really stop myself. I probably, if I had my way, I probably would give you guys like 8 different colorway kit, or I said 8, like 20 different colorways. We only have, I think, 6 or 7 maybe right now. I could be wrong. But I would, in a perfect world, I would have probably 20 because they're so fun to make. I want to just keep going back and see what I have. I lost my thread off of my needle, so I gotta get that rethreaded before I go through, because that's just not going to do anything. So again, I'm going to skip my 11 and go through all of these beads, and this very last one we're not going to go through our 8. I'm going to pull this. Now, the way I'm going to do this, you could probably do it with the others too, but I find it's, because I have these size 8 seed beads at the top like I do, it is so much easier just to tie these in a knot. So look at how pretty that is. How fun. All right, we're going to tie these in a square knot. So just cross over, and go through. And then I like to do a third one just because 3 is my magic number. Thanks, Cheryl. They're so fun. In this color, I love it. And then I am going to tuck so I still have my needle on the one side, and I'm going to just do these one at a time. I do like to sometimes go back up through the 8, and by doing this, I'm getting I'm pulling the knot. It pulls the knot into the 8, so it sits into the one that has the largest hole, which is very handy. And then I can just go back down through the 8, and try to stick this down into several beads, and I'm just kind of hanging out. I'm not going all the way down to the bottom. I don't like to end my threads on edges. I like to end them in between beads. That way, because if I went all the way down to here and I tried to cut the thread close, sometimes you get a little piece hanging out here, or sometimes I cut things in the wrong. So by having it coming out a bead somewhere else, it'll be easier for me to trim it and make it neat. Now I'm going to take, so the original working thread that I was doing, I went up first and around and back down. This one I am going to just go down. And by doing that, it keeps the two threads, well, if I could thread it on my needle, then I'm going to do this. Keeps the two threads, kind of pulls the knot still nice and tight by doing it in this way. I don't think I have, oh, this is just not, this tail does not like my needle today. There we go. And then I'm going to just run this through. And if you notice, I did not cut the other thread either. I like to get them down, and then I just tug them a little bit to make sure there's no, the thread isn't wonky in there. And then I'm going to cut the extra thread really close. I'm using my Zurons right now because those are handy, but any little scissors are great. And there you go. Now occasionally when you do it, because of this, the way the beads are, they're not 100%, you know, spot on the same size, so they can get a little wonky. This one's actually pretty happy, but if your fringe is not flowing the way you want it, if they're kind of like, if you pulled too tight and it was like a little bit wonky, wet it and then hang it up to dry, and then that usually helps straighten out. So I'll wet it and then I'll kind of like pull it a little bit while it's wet and then let them dry, and they end up being perfect. I need to get my ear hook on, so I'm going to take my Chainnose pliers. I know, they're just so pretty. They're so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take these, open up my ring sideways, slide that hoop in, and close my ring and push them together at the same time because they were little. And I got one done. Let's make the... How are you doing? Did you have fun making that with me? I know, I'm super giddy. I'm so giddy that I originally thought we'd only do one, but I kind of want to start the other one and have it done. So I'm going to go a little bit more speed round on this second one. So don't worry. I'll ask questions if you really need me to. I say speed round, but it's not going to be that fast. I'm just going to pick it up a teeny bit because this first one I always like to do one very, very, you know, a little slower because it's new and we got to learn, right? But we've done it once, so the second one always goes quicker just from that. So I'm cutting myself another piece of thread at the yard. And again, I cheat and I do the nose to the end of my arm, but you got to make sure you stretch your arms straight out. So if you feel like your arms don't have a good stretch, you can always do opposite shoulder to the end, or you can measure it. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, this is endless possibilities. I want to make 50 more. I want to make 50 more. Then I'm thinking, oh, we gotta do a winter holiday one. You know, I need to make one that looks like snowflakes. I need to make one that, you know, snowflakes, crystally colors. I need to make one that are red and green. I need to make, you know, all sorts. And then I want to do a more autumn one. All. Ooh, and wouldn't these look great during like doing a pair for Valentine's, and all, you know, maybe you could get tiny hearts to put at the bottom or one in the middle. Oh, so many things you could do. Okay, so I'm gonna get my second stitch hoop and 5, because we're gonna have to put 5 size 8 seed beads on that second one. I got the 5. I'm gonna move them out of the way a little bit. I'm gonna grab 1 size 8 and our stitch hoop there. I'm going to go from behind, pull, and if you see the little 8 is sticking right there, I'm going to just let it hold on to it. Leave yourself about a 6-8 inches, 4 to 6 inches, anywhere around there. You have more thread than you need, so the longer it is, the easier to thread and tie off later. But you can also do it as little as 4. Go back down through the size 8 that we added. That does that first loop around. Again, if this moves too much on this first thing for you, go ahead and put a stop bead or the bead stopper on. When I get my next one on, it's going to just stay in place. So I am going without. I'm going to add my second. Let's see if I go a little bit closer. Yeah, I don't have enough to make either. You did. So true. But I still am inspired to do like a 50 more, even though I really probably should move on to the next thing. But I like this one a lot. I got my 8 on my needle, go up through the hoop, hold on to the beads with my other hand, and oh yeah, try to keep it on the other side. We want it on the outside, and then go back down through the new one. And if you were just doing with the size 11 and size a size 11 delicas or regular size 11s or 15s or something in a piece, you probably could just move on to the next one without a problem. But with these 8s, like I said before, you kind of want to lock these together a little neater. So going up the original and going down the new one and pulling that tight, but not too tight. You don't want to over tighten it, but just enough so it's nice and snug around next to each other. See how they line up better? They were kind of really crooked the wrong way. All right, let's grab another one and go up through the hoop. And down through that new sea bead. Grab another. Oh, no, Joyce. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I almost missed it, right? I'll slow down a teeny bit for you, Terry, then, since you're just now catching it. But oh, well, thank you for joining us, Nicole. I understand. Have a wonderful dinner, and I hope to see you on the next round. You're right, Angie. I will watch something and then get inspired by something someone's wearing or just colors on it, and I'll be like, oh, I got to make something. I got to hook these two together. I almost forgot to hook these two together, so I'm going to go up the middle one and down the new one, and those are going to hook those together. For those that have to go, thank you for joining me. For those that are just, they're sticking with me, I appreciate that too. Anytime you want to rewatch this, it will be available, so you can always rewatch and see it through the whole thing. And I'm going to do a fourth, so I'm going to go under the hoop and down the fourth. Oh, you're welcome, Julie. Thanks for joining us today. This hoop is the 15 millimeter. They make a 15 and an 18 millimeter. But if you found a ring that you have that is a 13 millimeter, I'm sure that will look really nice with this design. And then nope. So I added that fourth one, but I got to hook them together. So I'm going to go into the third. And then back down the fourth. And the last one. Well, hi Linda, welcome. We're just starting a second one. Going a little quicker in this round for the second. Yes, thank you, Wendy. Thanks for joining, and I hope to see you next week for our Timeless Tree of Life. I'm going to go up through and back down through the 8, and then to connect them together, I'm going up the fourth one and down the fifth one. Oops, don't get that guy out of the way there. And now I got 4 in row, ready for my first fringe for this one. So I'm going to start with 3 size 11s, my size 2, my size 8, our 3 colors A, B, and C of our 3 millimeter beads, our 4 millimeter bead, another 2, and a size 11C bead. I'm going to run these on. So those that are just joining or still with me, I'm just making this one a tiny bit. This is the second one. This video will be available to rewatch. So if I'm going a little faster with this one, a little too fast, don't worry, you can rewatch. Written instructions are all on our Facebook page in JPEG form, and on the event page in JPEG form. If you need a PDF form of the written instructions, we do have that available. Oh, come on, focus. Oh, there we go. We do have that, our PDF on our Just Beat It Happy Beaters group, or on our website, justbeatitconquer.com. I am using a 10. I try to use a 10 whenever possible because it's a thicker needle and it's easier to thread than most. So it's nice. So whenever possible, that's my what I do. I also like size 11 seed beads, or size 11 needles, because they're a little thinner, but they're not as thin as 12, so they're still kind of easy to thread. But you can use a 12 if that's what you have. I'm using KO today in my thread, but you can use 1G, Nymo, Silamid, Eslon, Ceylon thread, and like a size D. But that's what I'm using. The KO thread is what I'm using today. It's very similar to the 1G thread. So if you have that, that's another good thread to use. It's very similar. I am going to skip that last 11, and I'm going to go up through all these beads. I'm going behind the hoop. I went through my 8 there. I went behind the hoop and up through. Again, I'm going to hold on to that little 11, and it's going to pull everything, cinch everything up. And then I'm going to go back down through this 8. Of the same fringe that I'm on, and then I'm going to go up through the next 8 next to it, up from the behind, so I'm coming up through the hoop, back down through the 8, so I'm ready for my next fringe. Oh, you're welcome, Linda. Thank you for joining us today. Terry, for the fireline, you can do fireline, but what I found with fireline, sometimes the fringe doesn't flow as nice. So I do go back to thread. I do a lot of things with fireline, and that's usually my go-to for bracelets and components, because it's so sturdy. But the fringe don't always hang as well. And that's why we're doing thread today. But, give it a try, because I can get the fringe. You got to make sure when you're doing fringe with fireline that you don't pull too tightly, because if you pull too tightly, it really makes the fringe haywire. All right, the next is 4 11s. We're making it slightly longer by adding the one more 11 to that. Thanks for adding the link. That's where you can get those instructions if you need the written instructions. I have a 2mm and a size 8, and then our my A and B look so similar, but they're just slightly different colors. One's a little darker, and then my C, and those are all 3mm, and then my 4mm, another 2mm at the bottom, and one more 11 at the very, very bottom. So I'm going to string these up. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just so happy with these. I can't wait to wear these. Come on, get on there. Oh, well, I'm glad that I started that again. Sometimes I feel that I'm like, oh, you guys don't want to see this again. But then I also know that it's sometimes nice to see it one more time, because, from where you started, especially starting, because by the time you're done with the fringe, it's like, oh yeah, what did I do? It's fun. So I got all my lovely beads on. Skip that last one. Make sure you skip this one or all your beads are going to just fly right off. And we're going to go up, 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 up. Through those beads. Try to not catch your thread. So again, try to go through the wall or go the roof of the hole, not the floor of the hole. You do have to have a little patience with those 2mm beads, but they're so pretty. They add a little nice little things. Yes, they are like a happy birthday to me earrings. I like them a lot. Well, I hope you give this a try because they're not as bad as they look. They just take some time. Just go slow. Don't worry about your thread like this. I'm just by holding this 11 and pulling the thread keeps it from tangling and scooshing up really nice up to the top. My mat's moving again on me. If you look, I came from behind the hoop and through the hoop. So now I got to go back down the same 8 that I was going through. Whoop. Careful of that. I've done that, right? You just keep hooking around that. Just pop it out. There we go. Now I got to move over to the middle one, so I'm going to go through that 8, behind the hoop. Ooh, we almost got our fringe caught up in the thread. That's not happy. We got to move that little fringe out of the way. And then back down that same one that we are going to be adding our next. So the middle one in this case. Ooh, that went. Why are we blurry? There we go. Oh, thank you, Sharon. I'm glad you're enjoying this. You're welcome. I like to try to get people beading one bead at a time, and we're gonna just make fun projects. In this world, we need some happy, pretty things, right? And beads bring that. They kind of unite us across the world, Beads are a language that every country knows. Maybe not everyone in the country, but every country. There's someone from every country, and we can unite together in beads. I love it. So for this middle one, because we're adding still, there's 5 size 11s, my 2mm, my 8mm, 1, 2 ABC of my 3mm, my 4mm, my 2mm, and a size 11 at the bottom again. And we're gonna just pop these beautiful beads on one at a time, and it's amazing what you can do. You just get these beautiful beads together. Ah, so nice, so nice, so nice. Skip that last one, go back up through all these lovely beads. Boom, boom, boom. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Go behind if you can. Whoops. Okay, well, can we get behind? Behind the hoop. Up through behind. and back down through that 8 again. Oh, you're welcome, Linda. Enjoy your dinner. Pizza sounds good. Maybe that's what I want. Enjoy your dinner and catch the replay if you need to. And yes, you'll find those lovely links to our written instructions and more. And then I'm going to go up through the next 8 behind the bead hoop and back down. The same one. I'm ready for the next. See, these are, once you do a few, these just fly. Do you see how much faster we've been getting? You know, it's you get more, the more you do, the faster it gets. So we're after the middle one, so we're gonna decrease again. So I have 4 size 11s, a size 2 millimeter, a size 8, A, B, and C in your 3 millimeter, your 4 millimeter, your size 2, size 11 again, and we are going to string these on. String these little happy beads. That little 2 millimeter. Because of the color and the color of the mat, it's really pale. And I'm like, ah, where's the hole? There it is. Okay. And you just gotta trust in your needle. Oh, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. We will get you one of those, Cheryl. Not a problem. If anyone has a problem with, if there's like something like that happens in your kit, just message us, you know, and we can get you what's missing. We understand. We try to get like the good ones together, but every once in a while something happens. You pull them off of this string and you don't notice. It has a funny hole or something. So yeah, we want your thing to go pretty. Let's see. I skipped my 11. I'm going back up through all my lovely beads here. Up through the hoop. And pull. Go back down through the 8. Now I gotta move over to the next one. Yay, Lois, I'm so glad. And then go up through the 8 and around the hoop and back down through the 8. And we're ready for the last one, which again is it's going to mimic the one on the outside, so it's one less than what I just did, so it's 3 size 11s. Where are we? A 2, yes. So I got my 311s, my 2mm, my size 8 C bead, my A, B, and C in my 3mm, my 4mm, another 2, and last 11. Move this out of the way before I knock that over. And then I'm going to string these lovely little guys on. Okay, I use guys for everything because I'm a little California, San Francisco Bay Area girl. That's where I grew up, so everything's guys and dudes and whatnot. But my pretty beads are anything. We're gonna skip our everything. What? 11, go back up through, and this last one, remember not to go all the way up to the through the 8. You only want to go through the beads you just added, so that you can end up the working thread. Oh, come on, there we go. The working thread and the tail are now coming out of the same spot. See how they're coming out of the same spot? That way I can tie these two together. Yes, absolutely. The replay goes almost immediately after I sign off. So you'll be able to catch up again. I'm just tying these together, and we are almost there anyway, right? I'm just doing a little square knot. I'd like to make 3 of these little crossover go-throughs. It's like a half square knot. And then I'm going to take my thread with the needle is going to go up through the 8. And before I go any further, I'm going to pull my tail and my working thread again so that it's nice and snug. Go back through the hoop and back down through the 8 again, and I'm going to run it down the fringe some. Now this is the method that works for me. If you are like to do half hitch knots, you could do half hitch knots. You could do so many ways to end this. If you wanted to, you can probably get a little glue in there, but I'm always afraid of getting my glue all over my piece, so I just make sure that my tail kind of comes out further. Okay, we're again on a funny. Let's get this. So I'm now putting the needle on my tail so that I can sew this down through the fringe. So I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna go back up through I'm just going back down into the fringe, coming at a different spot than my other thread, so that I do this in different spots, so then I can kind of make sure that the pull is better, the tension is better. When I come out at the same spot, I tend to mess up. So this is just Joyce's method, and I'm just going to cut these really close. So once you are done, and if your fringe should, the weight of those larger beads at the bottom usually helps make them dangle nicely, but if somebody's kind of wonky, wet it, pull it a little bit and let it dry, and that will help. I'm going to take my ear hook, and I'm going to open my ear hook slightly I'm using my Chainnose Pliers to the side, and put my ear hook through the loop, and then I'm going to close that up again. And I have a pair of earrings, and I'm so excited to wear these. I am so ecstatic with how mine turned out. Are you happy with how yours turned out? Or if you were watching today, is your mind going 100 miles an hour like mine and going, what other colors can I do? So that's what they look like. Up close. And so these are, again, the 15 millimeters. We do have several kits still available also. So we have both the stitch around hoops from Tierracast on our website. I'm sure we're going to have the ear hooks if you're, didn't talk about that. The niobium is a very nice hypoallergenic, so we've used that on a lot of these. Some of them are with sterling silver or gold filled, depending. Yes. Yay, Diane. You're starting your second one. That's great. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, Joan. Well, you can watch the replay and you'll be able to see how they started. But thanks you so much for joining. Exactly, Sharon. There it is. Thanks, Carolyn. I'm glad you made your repair. Oh, good. Thanks, Terry. And then we did, so the earrings, we have our kits up on our Etsy and the Tierracast stitch around in the 15, and that's what made the earrings today. And we're going to have kits for the pendant. This is a kit. We have an earring kit for this too, and we're going to start, we came up with this idea yesterday, so we're like, oh, and that, if you look at it, the stitch around hoop is the 18 millimeter, so slightly bigger than the one for the earring. So we'll have these kits up there too, but we also have the stitch arounds available. We have our Timeless Tree of Life up there for next Saturday. That's our next one. Can you show the pattern for next week? Next week is our Timeless Tree of Life, which apparently I don't have one of the samples here to show. So, but there is a... Oh, good. We're going to even do the Halloween as a kit. How fun. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to make that. That's going to be so cool in the pendant. I can't wait to make one of those. Yes, lots. But Linda, you should be able to find our next one is the Tree of Life. And that is on our events page, and we have an event page for that, and we also have it on our Etsy and our Facebook. We have all of our Halloween items this week, and until the 1st of November is going to be 25% off. This is the lovely little picture. He forgot to put, if you go to look for us on Etsy, you need to add Concord, C-O-N-C-O-R-D. April put the links in our comments, so hunt it down in our comments. All our Halloween stuff will be 25% off, but my nephew made this little poster for it, and I thought it was so cute. Do you see, like how he added little dangles for it, and he put the braided bliss around like a crown on the pumpkin. It's so cute. I love my nephew for helping. And so those, if you can find it on our Etsy. Ooh, wait, am I going? There we go. You can find on our Etsy the Halloween for 25% off. We have all these kits on there. Our braided bliss have been restocked. So we can, from last week, and then this next week is our Tree of Life, Timeless Tree of Life pendant, and those kits are up also on our Etsy. And what else? Oh, on Halloween, we're going to do a, oh, I don't know if this is going to go with my costume, but we're going to have a Halloween Q&A with Joyce, me. So send your questions if you want, if you have any questions that you want answered. I have a couple already suggestions about threads and what types of threads and how to get needles, knots out of it, and that's part of our Q&A, and we're going to have a few other things, and we'll probably have some contests or some giveaways, because we thought, you know, for Halloween, if we're doing something, we're going to make it fun. So bring your costume if you have one. I'm going to be wearing a costume on Halloween. And we will see you next week for the Timeless Tree of Life. I hope. I want to see you all because it's been fun beading with you. I had so much fun today. I hope you did too. And watch it over again if you need to. It'd be so fun. Make a comment, and I will try to get answered anytime, even in a replay. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate beading with all of you. Bye-bye.